Hello, I'm Spades and welcome back to another video. For today's video, as voted by all of you on my community post, I will be creating Slendytubbies Redesigns. I will be explaining the characters briefly within how they are in the game for those unfamiliar. All you need to know is, for a Teletubbies game, all the characters are infected with a virus which has transformed them into some sort of mutated creature. I do recommend checking out the Guardian collection. I also recommend just playing all the other games and supporting Zeo Works. Like always, the redesigns are just for fun and aren't to be taken too seriously. And without further ado, let us begin. Kind of a weird way to start this video, but I wasn't too happy with the first design that I made for Tinky Winky. And I just wanted to put in this little part because I just want to show that it's okay, and it's okay to start over, to simply revise and reflect on what you like and you don't like. I kind of played around off camera till I got a sketch that I was happy with, getting it to look more Teletubby-like. I know as an artist and a creative, it's kind of discouraging when you don't get it right the first time, but that is okay, and it's okay to make mistakes. I know for my designs I wanted to lean into the body horrors of the game and really play with the fact they are infected with a virus. I wanted to keep it simple for Tinky Winky though. He's kind of the face of the game, the first one you encounter, almost like a patient zero in a sense. I wanted to keep him the most recognizable while adding my own bit of flavor. In the main game, the Teletubbies are test subjects being monitored and contained in the mainland, which is like the main Teletubby area with the Teletubby Hill, until one day a virus gets put in their food, which kills and transforms them into these mutated creatures, Tinky Winky being the first one infected, and it kind of turns him into this bloodthirsty beast which hunts down and kills his friends and anyone that he comes across. I mostly played with their faces, that's the most iconic feature, taking inspiration from the 2D sprite in the shape, and I took inspiration from Trent Mannon's sculpture work and Resident Evil creatures. I made the face all saggy, and instead of making his eyes black, I enlarged them and made him look more like a feral animal to feed into the virus thing. I also had a bit of custard leaking from the mouth, and it's Teletubby rabies. Yes, I am personally really happy with the design. It's simple, while starting to convey the idea and the horrors of the other creatures which I kind of built off of from this. The newborns, mass-produced Teletubbies injected with the virus from creation. Lacking fur and limbs, they roam around in large numbers and only known to attack or... I know the designs for the newborns were based on an art piece by, apologize if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Yaroslav Kaoski, an edited version being in the second game, whose work is kind of like surrealist work around social issues. I do wonder how the copyright works on that being in the game, but anyways, going into the redesigns, I knew I wanted to focus more on the fact they are newborns, babies with unfinished bodies, forced immaturity. The only thing they know is violence. Babies freak me out in horror anyways. I used it as a point of reference, but I hated that baby creature in Resident Evil. It freaked me out so much. Babies are these innocent creatures. When they are placed into horror media, I believe it plays with the instinct to protect and sometimes violates that instinct by making the baby the threat. For my designs, I wanted to play into the fact they are smaller, frail, making them look more like, in the nicest way, an ugly baby. They'd be crying, looking for their mother, protection. They don't have that though because they're product of a tampered machine. I think the designs turned out really nice. Well, gross, but in a good way. Poe, or as my boyfriend keeps on calling her, Pooh, is the last one to be killed by Tinky Winky. That is a sentence, by the way. Being killed by Tinky Winky. Anyways, Poe is the character you play as in the opening of the third game, getting hung onto a tree in the mainlands. I decided to focus more on their deaths for the redesigns rather than the spider monster design they turn into. Though I think the third design is the coolest in any of the games. I thought to play with how each of them died for their designs using the main injury as what the virus makes better, while considering the environment. I took inspiration from the Japanese yokai, the Rokobi, a spirit who elongates their neck. I also took inspiration from the Silent Hill monster, Sakurai Head, as Poe's body was left in the forest of the mainland, and I got the idea that the tree was almost fusing with her, the virus taking the organic around it, her neck becoming like a tree root, and flowers growing within and around her body. I know it's a heavy departure from the original, Laa Laa will be joining her in that, but I believe this is my favourite design and concept for the characters. Though saying that, I do really like the Dipsy design. Dipsy, beheaded by Tinky Winky, now a headless corpse running around with a chainsaw, killing people. Also a fish guy. Though we don't know how it works, I personally think that the first concept is really cool. This animated corpse running around without a head, knowing exactly where to go. You don't know what it's thinking or how it's feeling, or how it's still moving. I decided to do something which I thought was a missed opportunity. Within the satellite station in the main campaign, there's a part where you have to go through the vents and... What if there was something in there with you? What if the rest of him was alive? Inspired by the thing and the South Asian folklore of Krasu, Dipsy's head is now a creature that works alongside the body to hunt, with its long flesh like tendrils. I also gave Dipsy back his pigmentation. Also, as a kid, I wanted to play Dipsy's Workshop so bad. I thought it was this cool, secretive game, which I couldn't find anywhere. My disappointment when it turns out it's just a Fruit Ninja clone. Sorry, that was really off topic. I just needed to get that out there. Like I said, I really love the design. Doesn't take anything away, just adds to what's already there. Now we can really scare the Guardian into giving him back his hat. Laa Laa, our unsuccessful premonition final destination girl. Depending on your choices, her outcome will be different. During her usual run, she'll die, getting her eyes scratched out by Tinky Winky, and turned into this tall, blind monster that roams the outskirts. For my version of the character, I decided to take another existing character, being the Lake Dipsy, and fusing it with Laa Laa to create this blind siren creature. Laa Laa is dies by the beach, and in this, like, a wave would take her away, and because this virus is supposed to make them better and stronger, her body would adapt, becoming more amphibian-like. I think it kind of makes a little more sense. I don't really know. I chose to base her on a siren because Laa Laa is something you say when singing, and Siren's whole thing is singing. I know that's really silly. For the design itself, I turned some of the scars on her body into gills, keeping her taller than the others, which kind of got lost with the posing. The long skinny arms are still there. I gave her this wide smile, kind of like a cruel irony in the fact she was sad all the time when she was alive. Now in death, she's grinning like a Cheshire cat. The Guardian, the White Teletubby, the main character of all the games. His role is to monitor the main group of Teletubbies, stopping them from leaving, logging their activities and existence for an unknown organization with at least some connection to the military. Going into his design, I was like, I'm not going to change too much because it's perfect the way it is. It's the default character. It is YN. I gave him a shirt with a tie to suggest like a work-like uniform, nothing too fancy or military-like, just enough to be like, this is his job. I also gave him a black trench coat to contrast with his white fur, and so he could easily sneak around, blending into the darkness while completing his usual duties. I also gave him a little satchel bag so he's not pulling the camera out of his. I kept the hat and I made the tie to match. And I also gave him pins to reference the lion and the bear from that banned Teletubbies episode. I added those aspects because I was like, I feel like he'd have like a little bit of like silliness to him from how the others interact with him and what we do learn. To me, he's kind of a low-ranking parasocial weirdo who loves spinning instead of completing the simple pipe puzzle. Who said that? Oh, I guess, you know. Overall, I like his design. I think he looks very nice in the trench coat. Those were my designs of the Slendytubby cast. I hope you all like them. I really enjoyed making this, and just getting to revisit the games that were like a big part of my childhood. It's really sweet and nostalgic. Let me know what are your thoughts and if you had any memories playing these games. This series is like really silly, but it's one that I hold dear to my heart. Maybe if you all want a part 2, I'll throw in my Slendytubbies OC from my tween years if I can find it. Again, please support Zero Works, and they are seriously some talented and dedicated individuals. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!